So after a huge news day yesterday, things are very quiet today until Meta's earnings after the close might, cause some excitement. Earnings are mixed this morning, so no new trend. Israel continues to prepare for the invasion. Bonds are sideways to up a bit. The Republicans appear to have decided on a no name for speaker who appears to be getting the job because everybody just really likes the guy. So far, markets are similarly not newsworthy. The Dow is up and the NASDAQ is down, and you could call that maybe the beginning of a rotation, except I don't think it is. And probably by the end of the day, everything will be back to normal in that regard, because I'm not going to say that the big Google miss yesterday is the reason that the NASDAQ is up either, down either. And in fact, the weirdest part is that Tesla has a mind of its own this morning. It's up, and when almost everything else, except Microsoft, is down. So yeah, it's an interesting morning. Let's dig in. This is Randy Kirk. I want to thank these longtime Patreon supporters: Cyrus E., Klaus W., DC H., and Danny M. You folks are the ones that are making it possible for me to spend 40 hours a week on this project, on this YouTube channel, leaving precious little time for my clients and for my Amazon business and for the other things. I also want to thank those who sent supers here on YouTube. You can do that anytime. You can just send $1 or $2 or $3, and that helps too. And of course, those who have been purchasing the famous now Cybertruck. It's been on X. If it's been talked about on X, it's got to be famous, right? You know what to do. All the information is down below. All right. So bonds are starting out 6 basis points up this morning and slightly over 4.9. I don't think it's going to matter at all what happens to bonds today and tomorrow. I doubt whether they'll make a run on 10 again. On 5 rather again. And I doubt whether they'll drop, dramatically, because it's all going to come down to the PCE print on Friday. That's really, bonds will be, the whole bond story will really be determined by that. Now, the Fed could mess things up again and create another round of interesting ups and downs on bonds on next Wednesday, but I kind of doubt it, because I think we're pretty clear that the Fed is not going to raise and they're not going to get hawkish. Again, all depending on the PCE this Friday at this point. The NASDAQ again is down. Last time I checked, we'll look here in a minute again. I think there was plenty of good news in the tech sector yesterday, so I don't know why the NASDAQ is down fairly strongly in the early going. Again, we had the business with Google. Google beat on the top and bottom lines. They missed on cloud storage, but the miss was fractional, but they did lose market share. But why would that cause the entire NASDAQ to be down? I'm not even sure why it would cause Google to be down as strongly as it is. Now, there's been a little bit of talk about advertising revenues, that some advertisers are pulling back on their advertising because of the Israeli conflict. I can't see that would also, I just don't get, anyway, we'll see. Maybe later in the day or later in the week, Google will start to rebound. Maybe the NASDAQ, sometimes there's just not a reason. Everybody, it's my job to find the reason, I guess, but I'm not sure we have one right. All right. I am going to assume that you have read or listened to plenty of General Motors, the General Motors story from yesterday. Stephen Mark Ryan caused it the worst day in General Motors history. Stephen Mark Ryan, that's the most hyperbolic statement I've ever heard. How about the day they went bankrupt? Although maybe that was a good day because they got all that federal money. Anyway, just in case you're not up to date, these are the bullets I think that were important about the GM story in terms of the overall, move into electrification, the overall disruption, the overall future of GM. Okay, they have cut back their efforts in entry-level BEVs to the point of pretty much extinction. I mean, they're just really not going to be doing much. They're not even going to make any attempt to compete in units with Tesla. They will concentrate on their margins rather than on volume, rather on unit volume. It isn't hard to predict how this story is going to turn out. This is not, So they want to make a lot of money now on flip phones because that's where they make their money. Rather than investing in smartphones. I think we know how this movie works out. Anyway, they've lost huge amounts of money on Cruise, and now they've been suspended in California for falsifying accident information after one of their cars ran over a pedestrian who'd been injured in an earlier accident. It was laying in the street, and they falsified the information about that. State of California says no, that's it. You're suspended. You can still do your taxi if you want to, but you got to have a driver in the car. So yeah, it was a bad day for General Motors, but come on, Steve and Mark Ryan. I mean, really. All right. The Cruise news was likely the reason that Tesla didn't end up much higher yesterday, because that Cruise news kind of, I guess a lot of Tesla investors are like, well, if they suspended Cruise because of this, then what's going to be the future in terms of Tesla and regulators and all kinds of things, especially in California, which is the 5th biggest economy in the world. Because Tesla had been up much stronger yesterday, was kind of outrunning the NASDAQ. And then at the end of the day, it was back down to being up about the normal 2 times the NASDAQ. So anyway, but this morning again, at least in early going, Tesla was once again outrunning the NASDAQ. Oh, now see, I just took a quick look. I couldn't help myself. It's now negative again. So maybe there was some major purchases that came in by some whale. All right. Of course, this morning's market will be somewhat influenced by all those solid beats yesterday. I mean, Microsoft beat big time, and like I say, Google actually beat. Here's the S&P. The S&P PMI reporting yesterday was also pointing to a continuation of the good news about the overall economy. So again, the PMI means the Purchasing Managers Index. So these are the buyers in services and the buyers in manufacturing. They survey them and they say, hey, how do things look? Are your order books going up? Are you placing more orders? How do you see the economy? What is your management telling you? So here's what the readings were yesterday. The final reading on the manufacturing side was 50.1, up from 50, and up from the 49.5, which was expected. And so that was good. That would say manufacturing is finally beginning to show some life. The composite index for both services and manufacturing together was at 51, compared to 50.2 in the prior month. And this was after the service sector fell for a 3rd month running, but not as much as it had in prior months. So overall, we got services down a little, which actually the Fed will like. We got manufacturing up a little, which I don't think the Fed will be bothered by that. So this is another day. The article from this was from Forex. Their article said, well, another day, another data point showing surprising strength in the economy. Commenting on the data, Chris Williamson, chief business economist at S&P Global Market Intelligence, said, hopes of a soft landing for the U.S. economy will be encouraged by the improved situation seen in October. The S&P Global PMI survey has been among the most downbeat economic indicators in recent months. So this upturn in U.S. output growth signaled at the start of the 4th quarter is good news. Future output expectations have also turned up despite rising geopolitical concerns and domestic political tensions, climbing to the joint highest for nearly 1.5 years. Sentiment has improved in part due to hopes of interest rates having peaked. Yep. As something which looks increasingly likely given the further cooling of the inflationary pressures witnessed in October. In spite of higher oil prices, which are now lower again, firms' input cost inflation fell sharply to the lowest since October 2020, and average selling prices for goods and services posted the smallest monthly rate increase since June 2020. The survey's selling price gauge is now close to its pre-pandemic long-run average and consistent with headline inflation dropping close to the Fed's 2% target in the coming month, something which looks likely to be achieved without output falling into contraction. That said, the tensions in the Middle East pose downside risks to growth and upside risks to inflation, adding fresh uncertainty to the outlook. They said also note the dip in services input inflation here. Say that again. Note the dip in services input inflation here, an area that the Fed is watching closely. I wonder if Chairman Powell reads fortune or not, because here's what they had to say. Listen, this is very important. As the rental market softens in several pockets of the country, the West Coast will be most affected, according to Kiran Ratura, Capital Economics Deputy Chief Property Economist. He sees a few reasons that apartment vacancies will double in Seattle, for instance, by 2025, jumping to 14%. This will cause the rents in the city to fall and apartment values to crater. His team puts it this way: those forecasts mean their forecasts. I'm going to change the words here. Their forecasts only show Austin and Houston seeing net increases in capital values between now and 2027, with Seattle predicted to see values fall by more than 30% on rental properties. Now, maybe those rental properties in Seattle, San Francisco, and some of the other West Coast cities are falling because these cities have turned into horrible places to live. Maybe. This from MarketWatch. Goldman Sachs expects home prices to fall in the winter and rise in March of 2024. Really? You mean like every other year practically in history? I'm sure their opinions are coming mostly from having watched this channel. Tesla says they plan to begin their revamp and expansion of Giga Berlin in the first half of 2024. This would likely mean that their ultimate goal of 2 million vehicles from that location is now beyond 2026, but maybe they'll get to a 1 million run rate in 2026. That's my estimate, not somebody else's. I'm adding that to the story. Trueflation is up a tiny tick this morning to 2.37. We are going towards 5 months now on Trueflation, 5 months of being around 2.5, been as low as 2.2, been as high as like 2.7, but really around 2.5. Chairman Powell said he wanted to see 6 months. Would he be okay with 2.5? Actually, I'm still saying deflation is just around the corner. So I think the 2.5 range and the 2.3 we're at now is going to start going down more, and we will start to see deflation actually rearing its beautiful head, because this will be productivity inflation. Anyway, all right, let's see where we are. Look at this. Tesla is still now currently up 39 cents, with the Dow having flipped completely from way up positive. I think it was up 66, now it's down 55. The NASDAQ is now down 175, with the S&P down 35. Let's turn those into percentages, because I know you care. Some of you do anyway. And by the way, percentages are really better. The Dow is down 0.17%. The NASDAQ down 1.34%. The S&P down 0.84%. I don't know. I don't get it. I'm not 100%. I can't quite figure out why this is down. We've got all of the Magnificent Eight down except for Microsoft, which is up 4 because of their strong earnings. Google is down 8.5. Man, they're punishing Google for that miss on cloud storage. And some people are saying that is leading the NASDAQ down. Maybe Boeing's miss this morning is leading the Dow down. I don't know. I think it might be lack of news. That is my main reason this morning, I think. And of course, all the Cathie Woods are down, and yet bonds are up a little. Let's go and check that out specifically right now. Anyway, Tesla up 0.5%. Let's see where the rest of these numbers are this morning. We have got Bitcoin continuing to be right around 35,000. Good for you guys that have been invested in that for a while. The dollar is, right at the top, not moving very much. Gold up 6. Looks like it's trying to bounce back through 2,000. That would be a flight to safety, maybe over Middle East thinking. And then you've got oil down, which you might think would be up because of the Middle East, but no. And you've even got headlines. I saw headlines today saying oil up because of the Middle East. No, oil is down another 20 cents right now at 83.54 at the bottom of their recent range. I'd love to see them go back into the 60s, but I don't think that's going to happen. As I've mentioned, I think it'll trade in the 80s for a while until Saudi Arabia and Russia allow some additional production. I don't see how it gets down below the 80s until that happens. Then we've got bonds. Okay, bonds were up 6 basis points. Now they're up 5.5 on the 10-year. On the yields, let's take a look at some of the others. So the 2-month is unchanged. The 2-year is up less than a basis point. So yeah, I think maybe the Cathie Woods are down because the 10-year is up so strongly. Again, up 5 basis points. That's fairly strong, but still under 4.9. So yeah, interesting. What an interesting morning. Sometimes you can't make total sense of it with Tesla still being up over 0.5%. All right. So I'm going to pitch this. If you don't want to see another pitch for this, send me the $25. If you send me enough orders for these, I'll stop pitching them. I don't know what enough is, and I'm not going to tell you. So I don't even know what I meant by that. All right. So $25 a piece. You know that this is a great Christmas gift. You know it's a great gift for almost any potential. If you've got buyers that you like to kind of, give them something at Christmas time, $25 is usually that point. You usually can go up to $25 on the purchase. And in fact, if you buy 3, it'll be under $25 because right now 3 is for $65. What a deal. And if you want to buy 10, I've got, as I mentioned, a whole bunch of folks have bought 10, 12, 15. I haven't had anybody buy 20 yet. So I've got a 20 price now, $400. That gets it down to $20 a piece. And I know you've got 20 friends that would be knocked up. They'd be like, what? That's wild. And it's a great bottle opener. It really works well. It's 3 millimeters thick. I mean, this thing is heavy duty, comes in has a magnet on the back so you can put it up in the fridge. Looks phenomenal up on the refrigerator. Anyway, you want one. So if you live outside the country, please add $20 for freight. And the country, my country, the United States. Yeah. If you live outside the United States, please add $20. And please let me know how many you want to be this color and how many you would like to have the camo print on there, because that is really good information for me to have. And then if you would like to join Patreon, I'm putting up news every single day. Haven't put up any news this morning because there hasn't been any news. So, by the way, cards. If you've stuck with me this long, yesterday, both shows, really, really good. Really, really important, especially my show the Brian stuff that he talked about yesterday was fantastic too. So here's cards for both of those. You don't have to wait for the cards. You can go to the channel and you can go in there and you just put videos and it'll give you all the shows in date order. You can go back and look at all the shows for the last 10 months. We're almost at the end of 11 months. December 1 roughly is when I started the show. So coming up on a year. coming up on, I think we're going to be coming up on 1,000 shows so far fairly soon. Anyway, okay, one last, if you're still with me, let's look one more time at Tesla. It's now up 0.82. So on a percentage basis, $1.77 with everything else down, except of course, for Microsoft. I mean, everything else is down except for Microsoft and Tesla this morning. Interesting morning. Let me know in the comments below if you have some special knowledge that you can share with us about why you think things are so crazy today. That's it. I'm out of here. Much more later today. But so far today, it's been great talking to you.